going to go ahead and get started tonight. We are talking everything Bitcoin, but starting out with the basics. Got my boy Taino in here, who is going to be answering some questions and navigating us through the process, as well as providing some input. Also got Currency up on the stage. Dennis, as we call him, he's going to be able to assist as well and just navigate from there. So with that getting started, Taino, just go ahead and give us an introduction and start us out on what is Bitcoin.
Got you. I appreciate you. I'm actually just going to go back just a couple of steps real quick. I just want to kind of set the tone of the room. So first of all, I don't know the order of when we're going to be getting questions. So when you're up here, we could do this little raise the hand emoji if you want to get a question in, but I know that we're all going to get excited and we may have questions at the same time. So if you and a woman are speaking at the same time, she's definitely going to get her question in first. If you troll, obviously you're going to get booted from the room. There will be zero disrespect of women and black women especially. And then, so I just want to start off by saying all of the knowledge I'm about to share with you was given to me by the Black Bitcoin billionaires across the street on Clubhouse. They are all linked in my bio up top, so please follow all of these people. They're doing incredible things, and they instilled a foundation in me that I want us to carry into the future. But just to answer your question and get started, and thank you so very much for allowing me to speak in your space, and I appreciate all the support I'm receiving from literally everyone on Spaces. So Bitcoin is a digital currency that is completely decentralized. And what decentralized means is that you do not need a third party, a bank, or a government to give you permission to send these funds to other people. And that's one of the most valuable aspects of Bitcoin. There are only 21 million Bitcoin in existence. You cannot make more. That's what makes it one of the most valuable resources on the planet right now. Let's see. I don't want to get too carried off, but essentially the number one thing we have to understand is that unlike dollars and other currencies, that you cannot make more. So this is a place where you can store your value, and I want everyone to take with them from this conversation that we need to treat Bitcoin like a savings account that does not depreciate, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But so just Bitcoin is a savings account that does not depreciate. Every time this country prints dollars, our dollars lose their buying power. So we need somewhere to store our money, a store of value, to protect it for the future. And we are going to create generational wealth with this.
Beautiful. So can you talk to us a little bit more about how Bitcoin transactions are processed? So if someone already has Bitcoin, or if they're in the process of getting it, how can they use that Bitcoin, and how are those transactions actually taking place?
Okay, so I just posted another link up top, and I'm gonna be taking my time with this because I want to make sure I'm retweeting these, just in case if you're an Android user, I'm going to number them 1 through however many I got saved in the bookmarks. Essentially, the blockchain is like a database. It's a receipt. So when you send or trade or spend Bitcoin, that a receipt is created, and everyone on the decentralized network, and I don't want to get too complicated, but on this network, all of the people who are called Bitcoin miners have to come together and agree that transaction is being made. So you can't, it solves the double spending issue. So essentially, it's just a permanent receipt of this transaction. So you can track the very first Bitcoin all the way until now. It's completely anonymous, so it's not like people are seeing where your Bitcoin is going or who spent it, but you can literally track the very first Bitcoin all the way until now. All right, I'm gonna keep talking. So I'm just going to keep posting a couple links that are just going to help me out with the flow right now. So right now I am posting in the links up top the timeline.
Can I hop in real quick?
Please, please.
One of the things that really, really helped me in the beginning is there's a book, and I believe there's a YouTube documentary. It's called Modern Money Mechanics, Chicago Federal Reserve Bank. And when you start to really dive deep, and either reading that or looking at the documentary, and you understand how our monetary system is set up, and then you start to understand what Bitcoin is, you can see the problems within our monetary system and why ultimately Bitcoin helps to fix that.
Yeah, so at the top, and my bad, DK, can we just mute that? Just my apologies. At the top, I posted a link to what's known as the Brentwood Agreement, which is when the dollar got off of the gold standard and all global currencies agreed that their dollars were going to be held up by U.S. currency. So it goes back to my earlier point that when this country prints more money, all global currencies lose their buying power. And we spend so much time working 40-hour weeks to make this money, and then our time is literally being stolen from us when they print these dollars. Oh, and again, if you're on Android, please raise your hand when we open up the space for that so that I can retweet all of the links I'm posting up top, and I'll number them so you can see them in the same order they're coming up.
Appreciate that. Everybody who just joined the room, we're talking Bitcoin basics. Taino's giving out some information as well as Dennis on just some basics, getting engaged and involved with Bitcoin. So we'll be bringing up some people in the future to ask questions. But with that, Shells, you can continue.
Okay. Good information so far. So, what are the benefits of purchasing Bitcoin?
So the benefit of purchasing Bitcoin, like I said, is to store our value. So we can my apologies, I didn't even say this up top. I'm not a financial advisor. No one up here is a financial advisor. So I just want to say that as a disclaimer. The benefit is, so like I said, when we print these dollars, or excuse me, when the government prints these dollars, rather, it lowers the buying power of those dollars. So none of us have a crystal ball and can say where the price of Bitcoin will be in the future, but we can absolutely guarantee that if you kept $100 bill under your pillow right now, because they just printed all this money, that next year your $100 will buy you less.
Thanks for that. And so, say I wanted to I have some money laying around now. Even we got the stimulus checks about to come out. If I wanted to invest all 1,400 of those dollars into Bitcoin, what should my first step be?
So I'm never going to tell anybody to go all in on Bitcoin, because the prices do fluctuate up and down, and that is because some people do sell their Bitcoin, and I don't advise that, or they spend their Bitcoin. If you were to say spend that $1,400, you'd have about 2.8 million Satoshis. And I just posted up at the top, there's 100 million Satoshis in one Bitcoin. So a lot of people see Bitcoin at this price and they think, oh, I can never afford that. That's crazy. That's a giant price. But it's really about stacking your Satoshis. So, Big Lamar, again, I posted him. He's the very first link. He coined the term Satoshi millionaire.
What the heck is going on?
Let me post that right now. So he coined. Lawrence, can you mute your mic, please? Oh, there we go. Cool. He coined the term Satoshi millionaire, and I just posted that up top as well. And his goal with the Black Bitcoin billionaires was to get, I think, 100,000 families to have at least 100 or a million Satoshis. To get them a million Satoshis this year. And someone just kicked this fact earlier that if everyone in the world had money or had Bitcoin, they could only have about $100 worth of Bitcoin. So if you had more than $100 in Bitcoin right now, you are technically already ahead of the curve. And I think we're still extremely early. And now to answer your question about how would you go about acquiring that Bitcoin? So I'm assuming that a lot of us have Cash App. To me, Cash App is the easiest way to buy Bitcoin right now. So if you go on the first page of your Cash App, actually, let me link this as well. If you go on the first page of your Cash App, you can click the Bitcoin, and you're going to start what you may hear in the future as the KYC process. That's Know Your Customer. It's just a way for people to keep track and make sure that no nefarious acts are happening. But most importantly to me is when you go on that first page and after you get the Bitcoin rolling, you go down and you change the units from Bitcoin to Satoshis. Because to me, I feel like there's going to come a time where the amount of Satoshis you have means way more than the numerical dollar value of the entirety of a Bitcoin. And I hope that answers your question. My bad, I've been rambling for a little bit.
No, you're good. And Dennis, any feedback from you on that question about the $1,400? Oh, did he drop off? No, he's still on here. $1,400 STEMI check. Would you recommend for somebody to go all in?
No, definitely don't go all in. I like to recommend what's called dollar cost averaging. Something you can look up, but ultimately what that means is it's just taking your time and really just scaling in and picking it's kind of like what I started with my mom. I wanted to get my mom into this and literally told her and said, hey, let's start with $10 a week. And with that $10 a week, you can ultimately see the growth just from that small amount and really just scaling your positions, because if you're not used to the volatility, which is very volatile, you're going to put this large amount in and you're just going to see the fluctuations and you're not going to like it.
And just to piggyback off of that, again, my OG, Big Lamar, he explains it like this when the price goes up. Like, if you're buying some land, you're not going to sit there and watch somebody with a whiteboard change the number every day and get nervous. That land is that land. And a lot of people consider Bitcoin as a digital real estate. So it's just like he said, you want a dollar cost average in. So when that price fluctuates up or down, you're not worried about it. It's not about making profit again. It's about storing your value somewhere for the long term. And by long term, I mean 10 years, 5-10 years minimum. So annually, Bitcoin has grown 200% every single year. And normally, within a 4-year period, you'll see that type of growth no matter what. And also, well, whatchamacallit, I'll keep the links up top, and I'm going to retweet them again. Come on stage if you have an Android and you're not seeing them, so I can try to get them to you in order.
I have one quick question, just to kind of expound on how to get started and what apps to use. I know you mentioned using Cash App as one of the starting places for most people, but I also know that there are other apps out there that kind of give you full control over your own Bitcoin. I think, Dennis, you had spoke about this a couple times before, so I don't know if either one of you have maybe like your top 3 apps that you would recommend somebody who's getting started to utilize that would be good for them to go with, for the long haul, or if you guys have some other solution, whether it's a desktop situation or whatnot.
Yep. One of the ones I think that is amazing is Swan Bitcoin. And that's simply because you can use them and connect them straight to your bank account and literally do weekly withdrawals, monthly, and ultimately you're never having to worry about going to buy it yourself. It just kind of happens. So it's kind of like I said, you're putting this money away for a savings account, but that connects straight to your bank account, and then ultimately your money sits there. Now, the next step to this is really when you can tap in with Lamar and then Miss Naja to start to get to the point where you move your Bitcoin off of there and it becomes self-custody. But that's going into next steps. I didn't know where we were going with this, but I know Swan Bitcoin is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Yeah, so also just back to the book topic, I just posted up at the top, The Bitcoin Standard is another phenomenal book that'll help you understand the history of currency and why it fails when people just have the ability to print unlimited amounts of money, and it explains what the store of value is. I'm also going to post Bitcoin Zay's book, Bitcoin in Black America, which I think is extremely important because Bitcoin is going to provide the largest transfer of wealth in our lifetime, and I think that we deserve to be in that. And to also piggyback off of your earlier point, so leaving your Bitcoin on any of these apps, which we call exchanges, means that it is not technically your Bitcoin until you pull that Bitcoin off into what we call a hard wallet, and we consider that self-custody. That makes you your own bank. You don't own it. So we're going to get into hard wallets as well. I'm going to save a lot of this for the people with their questions, but what I will post right now is, let's see. So Miss Naja. So there are two popular hard wallets. One is called the Trezor, Trezor, and the other one is called the Ledger. These are devices that look like a USB drive. You can plug them into your computer, and essentially what it does is you can pull your Bitcoin off of these apps and store it offline. When I start hosting rooms and doing a Bitcoin basics on the regular, like, we can get into warm wallets and hot wallets and all that, but I want everybody to know that the best route should be to buy Bitcoin from these exchanges and store it into a cold wallet, a hard wallet. I just posted a link up at the top. Miss Naja, she sells ledgers. Usually I do not advise buying a ledger from a third party, but Miss Naja is 1,000% incredible people, and I'm all about supporting Black business. So I posted a link up to her shop. You can obviously go to the Ledger website and buy directly from there, but I would not advise buying from like an Amazon because you may get a fake device. Oh, and also I wanted to say, it's not that, and I don't want to throw shade on Swan Bitcoin, but since we're in a basics room, I want everyone aware that there's going to be a couple extra steps with Swan Bitcoin as far as needing what's called an authenticator. This was something that I wasn't really familiar with, so it kind of tripped me up a little bit to pull my Bitcoin off of Swan Bitcoin. But as far, like, if you're just attracted to the dollar cost average in, which is the auto pay in, Cash App does offer you the ability to set an auto pay, so you can just buy Bitcoin on the regular.
Cool. And Lawrence, I see you joined us, and welcome everybody to the room. We are talking Bitcoin basics. So if you ever had a wonder of how Bitcoin works, the way to get started, this is the place for you to be. We're definitely going back and forth with some subject matter experts, as I will say, for them that are discussing it from there. So Lawrence, I see you jumped on stage. I know you've been trying to get up here for a minute. Any feedback that you have so far? Because I see you do Bitcoin as well.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It's just like the people saying. The thing I was going to say was that Cash App is able to do dollar cost averaging as well, which our man just tapped on. Because the big thing about Bitcoin is that your privacy is a big thing. So you definitely want to limit the amount of exchanges and apps that you're doing all your KYC, know your customer stuff on. So if you can limit that as great as you can, try to have one central place that you buy from before you start to move into self-custody.
Oh, that's a great point. So what I usually advise my people is, once you have about $200 to $300 worth of Bitcoin or Satoshis on a Cash App, that's when you're going to want to start looking at these hard wallets, a Ledger, a Trezor, so that you can pull that off and store it on the cold wallet. And the reason why I say about $200 to $300 is because these hard wallets can range from about $50 to $100, and we want to make sure that you have more in Satoshis than I don't want you to buy $100 device and you don't even got 100 in Bitcoin. So take your time with this. When you start buying in, Cash App's going to be okay. Obviously, you want to go ahead and put your password on there. I wouldn't put a thumbprint. I do the number print, or I do the number pin. But you want to make sure that you're comfortable with the process of keeping your Bitcoin before you start moving it into a wallet. I just posted, actually right before Freddie's, there's F. Brandon. Freddie, he's got a YouTube video about how to actually send your Bitcoin from Cash App into a wallet. It's going to be the same process. It's a copy and paste process, and we'll go through this in detail together. But essentially what you want to do is you want to just start your Cash App, you want to click Bitcoin, you want to start your KYC process, and then put in what you're comfortable with. And eventually, when you get up to $200 to $300, then we can go back into buying a hardware wallet and transferring it into that wallet.
So here's a question, because we named this Bitcoin Basics for a reason, right? Because number one, there's so much information out there. There are so many different takes on this, lots of different perspectives. One of the things that, folks who are starting off might be worried about is, do they need to be concerned about buying one Bitcoin? Is it okay to start small? What happens when you kind of start off in this, when you're making this investment? Unlike the stocks or unlike, other aspects of the market, there's certain things you can see, you can project, you can leave your money sitting places, and then there's tons of info about that. Sometimes people describe Bitcoin market as a volatile market. So what wisdom would you share about starting off and whether or not you need to be focused on getting one whole Bitcoin, or is it okay to start off small? And I actually like both you and Dennis to jump in on that, and Law, since you're up here, Lawrence.
Cool. Yeah. So it's important to know that there's only 21 million Bitcoin in existence, and there will never be more. So not even every millionaire in the world can own one full Bitcoin. And that's why I like Big Lamar's point about your first immediate goal should to become a Satoshi millionaire. We want to make sure that you're aiming to at least have 1 million Satoshis. And then from there, if you can, because people are going to sell their Bitcoin, I would make it your family goal to have at least one full Bitcoin in your portfolio, my bad.
So I'll address the volatility part because I hear this a lot. And the people who are worried about the volatility are the ones who aren't worried about holding long term. And I've been holding Bitcoin for the past 5 years now. And for the past 5 years, over time, it's appreciated. And when you look at long term assets, they're going to appreciate. If you actually do the average of something like Amazon and Bitcoin, the volatility is not that much different over the period of time. So those two things haven't changed. It's just that you see more volatility at one time with Bitcoin. But if you're holding over a long period of time, 10, 15, 20 years, that volatility isn't going to matter because it's an appreciating asset. And also, it's capped. Like you said before, there's only 21 million.
I have something I can add to that, I believe. A thing that you guys have to remember with Bitcoin is that it's only 12 years old. So it's a very, very new asset class, which means it's still in what we would describe as its price discovery phase. People don't know what the true price of Bitcoin is yet. That's why you see so much volatility up and down. But like my man just said, over time, in this period of time, over 12 years, it has literally only gone up. I think that there's only about 5 to 10 days in the history of Bitcoin where if you bought, you would not be in profit as far as for where the price moved. So the thing you have to remember with that is that this is why we dollar cost average. So you're not making a large quote unquote bet on any one price point, right? And Bitcoin 100% you need to look at it as a long-term store of value. So that means money that you do not expect to move for a very long period of time, maybe 3 to 5 years. That's the money you want to put in Bitcoin. I tell the rookie Bitcoiners that I deal with, we don't look at the day-to-day moves of Bitcoin. You look at it at least a week out, and you try to look at the trends versus the daily price action.
All right, thank you guys for that so much. And for everybody who just joined the room, We are talking Bitcoin basics, how to get started, direction to go, kind of once you get started, and the just the key things that you need to know. So with that, we'll keep the conversation moving. Shells, you're up next.
Okay, let's see. As far as the pricing goes, because you guys have mentioned that, what actually controls the pricing? And as it increases and people start to pull out their money or their Bitcoin gain, is it taxed? Do they have to worry about, submitting anything to the IRS or anybody else?
So yes, if you sell your Bitcoin or trade it into another cryptocurrency, that is what we call a taxable event. So right now, I'm gonna link my guy CJ, the smart guy. He's a CPA that specifically deals in cryptocurrency. He's phenomenal. Reach out to him. Obviously, he's going to charge you for his work, but yes, if you are going to sell your Bitcoin or trade it into another cryptocurrency, you will be creating a taxable event.
Oh, Valo, did we lose you?
We did.
Did you hear me?
No, you cut out.
Cool. So I just linked up at the top CJ, the smart guy. He's a crypto CPA. But if you sell your Bitcoin or you trade it into another another cryptocurrency, you will be creating a taxable event. So yes, you will have to be reporting that to the IRS.
Yeah, you'll get if you have your crypto on Coinbase. Or hi everybody, my name's Adrian. I've been in crypto since 2017. For like anybody new, I don't know if you've heard of the platform BlockFi. But for friends that maybe are less risk or less risk averse or more risk averse, a really easy way to get into Bitcoin is you can go into BlockFi, you can make a deposit of stable coins, and then elect to receive Bitcoin interest.
Wait, hold on, Adrian. Yeah, my apologies, but this is like we are sticking to Bitcoin basics. Okay. Bitcoin specifically, so we don't want to get into like the other stable coins and BlockFi. BlockFi, you're going to be getting like a 6% when you're looking at an asset like Bitcoin that on average gains 200% annually. We're not really going to be chasing a 6% gain on the annual. But I just want to say that we're just trying to stick to the basics right now.
Okay, got it. I was saying if you didn't even want to buy Bitcoin, but I get you. I feel you on that. I mean, Bitcoin has absolutely changed my life. I think the cheapest I've ever bought Bitcoin was $3,800 in December of 2018, and it's life changing. It's an exit in a different way for a lot of people, and the traditional markets hate it.
And I think the other question was about price, right?
Yes.
My apologies. Can you run that
What
back?
controls the pricing of the Bitcoins on a day-to-day basis?
Whatchamacallit? I appreciate your backup, by the way, Adrian, down there. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. So the price is going to ultimately depend on how many people are buying and selling. So when you see the price dip, it's because a bunch of people are selling. When it goes up, it's because a bunch of people are buying. Now, the difference between the quote-unquote volatility that we see right now and all previous charts of Bitcoin is that companies, large institutions, need $1 trillion market cap before they can play ball, before they can legally actually get involved with an asset like this. So once Bitcoin hit 54K, it is now $1 trillion market cap. So that means that all the big boys can start filling out their paperwork to get involved and start buying this asset, which is why it's so important that we host these spaces, because right now is one of the rare times that we can buy into Bitcoin at the very same time as these people who have billion-dollar companies.
And just to reset the room before we open it up for some questions, we're talking Bitcoin basics. Everything that you can do is those are getting into Bitcoin, and then we'll open up for the room here in a second after this next question. If anybody who has questions, go ahead and request the mic. I'll get you guys up here as I see them. I see one already popping up. But with that, Valo, can you tell us as we acquire Bitcoin, what can it be? What can it be used for? What monetary transactions can we make with that Bitcoin?
So as of right now, and I just want to preface this by saying that I'm not telling anyone to enter the Bitcoin space to start spending or utilizing their Bitcoin, because again, I want everyone to be in here to store their value. I want you to be able to keep your money somewhere that it's going to be safe for the long term. But as of right now, you can actually buy a Tesla with Bitcoin. You can spend it at Whole Foods. Apple Pay is also talking about integrating a company called Bittrex with their Apple wallets. So soon you might even be able to utilize Apple Pay.
BitPay.
Thank you. And Visa is also entering that space. But again, the people I'm Puerto Rican from New York, high school dropout, and the people I'm talking about is people of color, Black people, Latinos. I want us to have a safe haven for our money to be stored, so that when this country prints money and the dollar loses its value, that we're not having our time robbed from us. So I'm never, ever, ever going to advise that someone gets into Bitcoin to spend it somewhere. You have cities like Miami and Seminole County that allow you to pay fines and taxes in Bitcoin, which I think is just a way for, and this is a conspiracy, I just think it's a way for the government to grab up your Bitcoin. It may seem enticing, but again, I'm encouraging everyone to buy Bitcoin to hold it for a minimum of 5 to 10 years.
Lawrence, Dennis, any feedback in regards to that?
Yeah, I feel the same way about not spending your Bitcoin, because when you think about it, and I know Adrian, when he popped up here for a second, he said that traditional finance hates Bitcoin. The reason why that is because, like my man just said, for us, Black and Latino people, we need a way to accumulate wealth, build wealth. The people that already have it, they're at an advantage. They can sit there and play the traditional markets and make these really, really ultra safe plays and earn, anywhere between 7 to 10% annually on their money. But we need something that's going to earn better than that when you are in the catch-up position. So that's why it's so important to hold on to your Bitcoin while it goes through its price discovery phase, so that, once it finally settles in, 10, 12 years and it has a hardcore price, you get to store all that value that you generated by, uh, over time, storing away your value or your money in a Bitcoin.
And I just want to add on to that. You'll hear a lot of people say they'll never sell their Bitcoin. And what rich people do when they have assets is they will take out loans against their assets, which you do not pay taxes on, and then they just pay the interest on that, which is how they get to maintain the massive amount of their wealth without ever giving it away. And you can do that with Bitcoin. You can take out loans against it. This is nothing I recommend right now, but in the future, because a lot of people might ask, well, when is the right time to spend Bitcoin? In the future, we're going to have better ways to take out loans against our Bitcoin and whatever currency we use in the future to buy the things that we want. Because ultimately, no one gives a shit about money. No one cares about Bitcoin. We care about the things we can get. We care about the resources that we can get. So, yeah, like I said, in the future, we'll be able to take out loans against our Bitcoin.
And I'll just chime in here. This is coming from somebody who tried to trade in the beginning. I'm a way better trader now, but all the Bitcoin I spent and lost trading, if I just would have held that, I would have been in a way better position than I am right now, just by simply holding it.
All right. So with that, if anybody has any questions, I know Francesca, I saw you trying to get up here. So anybody who has questions, please request the mic. I'll get you added, in the order that I see you pop up. We can open it up now for anybody who has any questions. If not, we'll keep it going. Any other feedback, Valo, while I wait on that you want to provide at this?
Yeah, and my apologies for a little bit of lag, but I'm just trying to reshare these tweets in the correct order just in case. We have Android users in the crowd, so you can at least go to the page and keep up with what's being shared up top. What I will say is that when we start coming up, we will get excited and have questions. But if you and a woman speak at the same time, she's going to get her question in first, and we're just going to wait respectfully. And yeah.
All right, so first up, Francesca, go ahead with your question, and then I see Freddie, you're up next.
Hey guys, thanks for hosting this. Thanks for answering my question. This is going to be super basic. So should I think of Satoshis as like, and not by the volume, but by the analogy as quarters to dollars or pennies to dollars?
That's exactly right. A lot of people will say pennies to dollars. And in my opinion, we will see a time where the Satoshis are going to be equivalent to $1.
Okay, thank you. And a little follow up to that.
And Francesca, by the way, and this goes for everyone too, don't feel like you got to just ask one question and run away. I appreciate everyone's time up here. So make sure that you get your understanding. I don't have the ability to host a room yet, so I want to do Bitcoin basics on the regular, but please make sure that you get your understanding first before you hop off stage.
So my question is about, I don't know what they're called, but the things you store, let's say the Bitcoin or the few Satoshis or whatever you have.
Yep, hard wallet.
Yes. So does it matter what the ratio of the value is of the Satoshi or Bitcoin you have relative to the value of the hard wallet?
No, you can put any amount of Satoshis or Bitcoin on a cold wallet or hard wallet is what we call it. My only suggestion is to have at least $200 to $300 worth of Satoshis before you move it into the hard wallet, because I don't want anyone in the audience to spend $50 on a hardware wallet and they don't even got $50 in Bitcoin.
Okay, and to that, to what you just said. So, but the value is always fluctuating. So you said to have at least $200 worth of Bitcoin on the hard wallet, but that changes every week, right? It's constantly changing.
Yeah. So what I mean by that, because you're not technically going to be looking up and down at the price, but once you spend around $200 to $300 and you put that into Bitcoin, you're going to want to you're going to want to start looking into these wallets so that you can take your Bitcoin off of these exchanges.
Okay, thank you. I'll go back down to a listener. Thanks.
All right, Freddie, go ahead, my brother. I know you got a question for us. And Lawrence, Dennis, and Valo, please, jump in anywhere. You guys feel free.
Hey, what's going on, Daniel? My question is, right, I've heard a few people mention, not just you, Taino, well, Valo, Cash App, right? Why Cash App?
Cash App is just something that we all already have. So it's one of the easiest ways to onboard our people. I personally didn't even have Bitcoin until Cash App gave me that option. So it's just the easiest onboard ramp for Bitcoin right now. And yeah, there's nothing like you can also pull your Bitcoin off of Cash App, which is important. And thank you for asking that, because that brings up a great point. Never, ever, ever buy your Bitcoin on PayPal, Robinhood, or Webull, because you will not be able to pull your Bitcoin off of these platforms. So that means you do not actually own your Bitcoin.
Oh, thanks for that. That's good to know. Definitely good to know. Freddie, any other questions?
No, that'll be it. Cause my question is this, right? And maybe I need, because I'm an experienced Bitcoin user, right? And I'm trying to figure out why would I use Cash App, right? And I understand your answer because you're saying that's for new people, and I know this is just the basics. But I'm trying to understand, why would you advise new people to use Cash App? And I hear you saying because it's easier to onboard people. But what about the other different exchanges like Coinbase? Coinbase is easy as well. So I'm trying to understand why Cash App versus a Coinbase. And Coinbase is so simple, just as Cash App. and just still trust it, and it's easy to remove it or take your Bitcoins, right?
I can speak to that one for Freddie if you guys want me to. For one, I don't want to turn people completely off of Coinbase, but when it comes to user privacy and things like that, we know that with Coinbase going public, we know they're already working with the U.S. government to provide all this information about discovering what user is who and what transactions belong to who on the blockchain. So they're definitely not an advocate for user privacy in the Bitcoin space. Also, for Cash App, for right now, I don't know how long this is going to last, but when you take your Cash App and your Bitcoin, you transfer it off of the Cash App to another to a hot wallet, one that's on a cell phone or another Bitcoin wallet address. Cash App is currently eating those fees for the user. Like they're not charging you to send your Bitcoin off. I don't know how long it's going to last, but for right now, they don't do that. So those are the two reasons why I would opt for Cash App in addition to not using another KYC exchange.
I also want to explain that Coinbase also does not fuck with the black community. So I will never be supporting Coinbase with my business. You are right. It is another easy way to buy Bitcoin. But during the George Floyd incidents, the CEO basically said, leave your social justice issues at the door. If not, you can grab a severance. So that's one. A lot of people quit, and they have a history of not treating their black employees right. I know, for instance, that Cash App partners with the Joe Budden podcast. They partner with the Black Bitcoin billionaires over at Clubhouse across the street. So Cash App supports the black community. Coinbase doesn't. I know Gabby, I don't know if she's in here. She made a great point. You can get a free $5 worth of Bitcoin off of Cash App if you want to grab that and pull it off, by all means. But I would not do regular business with Coinbase because they don't fuck with our community.
Can I add to that?
Okay, thank you for that answer. And great point, Lawrence. I'm gonna go back to listener.
All right, go ahead, Dennis, and then Dante. I got you next.
I just want to say, when we said about Coinbase working with the government, I'll tell you right now, the company I work for, we do blockchain for compliance officers. Square, Finance are all customers of ours. So every single company is doing that analysis. So don't just think Cash App is not one of them. So everything's being tracked on the blockchain. I want you to know that.
I also want to just add that I shared Miss Naja's brick and mortar. Did I just do that? Actually, hold on. I just shared where she's selling ledgers at. Hold on, give me 2 seconds, everybody, because I want to make sure that this is up top. Bet here, so we got it. Miss Naja is in Inglewood. She's got a brick and mortar, so if you live in LA, you can legitimately just go walk up in there. You can do your KYC, and you can actually buy Bitcoin. And again, it's all about supporting the community. She's an incredible black woman, so I'm not going to be mad at you if you just go in there and buy your Bitcoin.
And Dante, go ahead.
I was going to say, when I onboard people to Bitcoin, I find it much simpler to start them out with Cash App. A lot of people who are new to cryptocurrency, when they go to Coinbase, they tend to buy a bunch of different currencies without understanding how transaction fees work, without understanding transaction times, and exposing them to Coinbase first creates confusion, whereas you can simplify the experience for them by giving them a tool that they use anyway, considering they don't use Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. So I guess that's my +1 for Cash App.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, actually, Dante, because one of the things I love about Cash App is that when you pull your Bitcoin off of it, it immediately goes into your cold wallet. And shout out to Dante. He's one of the pinnacle voices of Clubhouse across the street, and I hope we can get him over here full time. Y'all hear that bass?
Thanks, man.
Yeah, most definitely. So anybody else have any questions, please request the mic. before we kind of do a wrap up for tonight, and then we turn it over to DJ DK to play music. But if there are any other, I'm sorry, Shells, did you have? I know somebody DM'd you a question.
Yeah, I have a quick question from Sabrina in the audience. She wants to know if she puts $1 in or any $10 in, will she get 100 satoshis or will it be 1,000 satoshis? She wants to know what the amount will actually be if she does do that.
So that's going to come with the fluctuation of the price of Bitcoin itself. Right now, I believe that if you put $1 into Bitcoin, it's about 17,000 satoshis, about 17 and some change. So when the price goes up, you'll get less satoshis for your dollar, obviously, and when it goes down, you'll get more. So yeah, we love buying the dips. And eventually, when I actually do these Bitcoin basic classes, I want to do this regularly so that if the price ever does go down, we're instilling a foundation that people know that when that price goes down, it's really the time to buy and not panic sell.
So, Lalo, I do want to say anybody who's interested in actually learning more on how to read a chart and understand that, it takes some time. If you want to dive deep, just connect with me. I do Zoom calls all the time just explaining a chart because I am a trader and I understand that. And I really do buy the dips all the time because I understand where price support, resistance, and everything like that. So you can just reach out to me and I can actually help you get started if you want to do that in-depth research.
Yeah, and I just want to piggyback off of that and say, like, for instance, when Bitcoin was at 58K last time, it dropped to 55, and I thought that was the dip. So I put a bunch in, and then it fell all the way to 43. And again, because of my understanding of this being a store of value for the long haul, I continued buying through every single one of those dips, and I was able to accumulate more satoshis that way. So we want to make sure that everyone is understanding that Bitcoin goes up and then Bitcoin goes on sale.
Now, I wanted to ask. I know you mentioned kind of doing more of these Bitcoin basic rooms. So let's say someone listened to this and said, "Okay, I want to jump in." They download Cash App. Maybe they start off with a little amount, $5, something like that. Why don't we just set the stage for what would be the next step, and maybe that's our next Bitcoin basic session. What comes after you put, let's say, $10 on Cash App Bitcoin?
Nice. So normally we in the Bitcoin community do not recommend leaving your Bitcoin on an exchange or an app because, again, if you leave it somewhere, you technically don't own it. However, Cash App is not going bankrupt anytime soon. What I will say to protect yourself is, again, I would remove the little thumb processing, the like thumbprint, and make sure that it's just a pin so no one can sort of fuck with your Bitcoin, for lack of a better term. And eventually, when you have invested around $200 to $300, then we're going to start talking about hardware wallets. And again, I will post Miss Naja's website up at the top because she does sell ledgers. That's where I got my Ledger Nano S. And I recommend that if you're going to buy a hardware wallet or you're ready to make it to that step, that you want to go ahead and just support her business.
Just a quick little aside for anybody that's new into Bitcoin. The easiest way I've ever taught anybody to get in is the dollar cost average. So you just treat Bitcoin as a savings account. Whatever amount of money makes sense for you, monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever it might be, you just kick a little bit into a recurring transaction and buy yourself Bitcoin slowly over time. I think there was somebody that bought $50 of Bitcoin every Sunday for 3 years, and they had themselves a whole Bitcoin.
Yeah, if you could find that tweet, can you link that up at the top? Because that was inspiring to me,
I
for sure.
retweeted it, but I retweet so much.
Yeah, so you want a dollar cost average in, and hopefully through gaining confidence and understanding of Bitcoin, and you'll do that with books like Bitcoin in Black America and the Bitcoin Standard, you'll start to realize that maybe that cup of coffee or maybe that bag of chips isn't as important, and then you'll start to realize like, oh, that's going to get me so and so amount of satoshis, I'm probably just going to toss it in there. And for example, I completely quit smoking weed at the beginning of February and started pouring all of that right back into Bitcoin. And I'm super focused, OD drive, and it's a testament to me being on this stage and linking with so many incredible people that my knowledge and understanding of Bitcoin led me to where I was supposed to be right now.
And that's some good feedback right there. So, you know, sometimes skipping that extra stuff that we don't need and investing it will allow us to grow and create that equity.
Yeah,
but
that is. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Lawrence.
Now I was going to say that really is awesome, and it just speaks to one, Valo's resolve, but two, once people start to understand what investing is and how it can empower your life, your priorities change. Like if you really, really think about it, poor people are the only people in the world that store 100% of their wealth in cash. Any person with real money is looking for a place to invest to make sure that they outrun and defeat inflation. So once you come into that knowledge and you understand, that's when you start making moves like this and say, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to smoke weed anymore because this money is more valuable invested in this asset that I found, being Bitcoin." So yeah, you got to educate yourselves. I'm glad you guys came to listen to this stuff and are asking questions because it takes a while to get fully educated, but once you come to a full understanding, you'll wonder how you ever survived without this knowledge before.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that everyone, your immediate goal should be to become a Satoshi millionaire. And again, Big Lamar, they're in my bio. Please follow everyone from the Black Bitcoin Billionaires. But he coined the term Satoshi millionaire. The minute I heard that, that was my immediate goal. I needed 1 million Satoshis. I wanted to be a Satoshi millionaire. And when I won't say how much it was when I first started buying it, but right now it's probably around $500 and something for 1 million Satoshis. And just to further put that into context, if you have 28 million Satoshis, you are already in the 1% of Bitcoin. Remember, every millionaire in the world cannot own a full Bitcoin. So to have over $100 in Bitcoin right now means you're already ahead of the curve, and only 1% of the globe is in Bitcoin right now. So we are way, way early.
And Lawrence, I didn't think I was poor until you just made that comment. So I think I'm in the poor club. I invest, but not at a heavy rate. I guess I'm gonna be in you and Valo's inbox because I gotta invest a little more than what I do now. So thanks.
That is hilarious, man.
And I just want to say too that obviously shit happens. If you do have to sell your Bitcoin, like there is an example where Bitcoin Zay helped someone acquire 2 Bitcoins. She sold one and put both of her kids through college. I linked my man CJ, the smart guy, up at the top. He is a CPA and he can help you out with taxes around cryptocurrency. So yeah, we're not going to judge you if you got to sell your Bitcoin, but this is why we want you to dollar cost averaging. Because what I do right now is I buy Bitcoin, I put it on my cold wallet, and I never look at it. The only reason why I even check the price is to see if there's a dip, because I'm just going to go buy more.
Yeah, it's definitely been a wealth of knowledge shared tonight, and for everybody that provided feedback, we definitely appreciate it. Before we wrap up, is there any other questions? Feel free to request the mic. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. But if you don't have any other questions at this time, I'm gonna go to Dennis first.
I do,
and come back to Lawrence, and then let Valo wrap it up. So Dennis, start with you. If any final comments, then Lawrence, and then Valo.
Gemini had a question.
Yeah, he's got
Gemini had a question down there.
Oh, go ahead, Gemini.
All right. So my question is that hello everyone. My name is Zio Red, and I just had a question. I wanted to know because the thing is that before I heard about Bitcoin way before this pandemic and this whole coronavirus even happened, but I heard about it, but I wasn't really like into it because I felt like the 9 to 5 was just more of a easier way to make money. But I'm hearing now it seems like is this Bitcoin going to be the new norm for people to spend money more than using a 9 to 5 to make the money?
So that's a great question, by the way. Again, my whole MO is Bitcoin is a store of value. So when we're working 9 to 5, let's pretend that you created a $1 trillion company. $1.9 trillion your company just hit. This country just printed $1.9 trillion, sucking away all your time and hard work out of what you just did. So we're utilizing Bitcoin to store our value for the long term. We're not using, or people do, I'm not advising it. I'm not advising spending Bitcoin or using it. This is not about making quick money or quitting your job and getting into Bitcoin and then you can flip that. This is about storing your money somewhere so that it is safe. And in 10 years, you will be creating generational wealth for you and your people.
And
Okay.
Chairman, I'll take that even a step further. Imagine if it's both, because I work for a crypto startup and I get part of my paycheck in Bitcoin. So guess what? Now my paycheck is really worth a lot more over time.
Exactly. And I do want to say that there are nonprofits that accept Bitcoin. We'd have to talk to CJ, the smart guy, about whether or not that is a taxable event. But like Miss Naja runs a summer camp for kids and teaches them about mining and Bitcoin, which I think is phenomenal. So, and then actually there's another pastor that's part of the Black Bitcoin Billionaires. I forget his name, but he was also talking about taking Bitcoin donations to his church. So yes, there is a way to either get a job and earn Bitcoin that way, or also put that Bitcoin into something you believe in, like Miss Naja's camp.
Now, Valo, have you heard about the Lightning Network? This is going into a whole different rabbit hole. I know this is the beginning basics, but I didn't know if you've heard about it.
Yes, I have heard of the Lightning Network. I'm excited about all layer 2 solutions and everything that's going to be built on top of it. But because I just want to make sure, our people are protected, I like to focus on just storing our value there for now. The cool thing about Lightning Network is that you can put a portion, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can put a portion of your Bitcoin in there and you can make money by allowing people to sort of transact through your Bitcoin at a much faster pace than what they think Bitcoin is now. Although I've sent Bitcoin to several people that I love and it gets there pretty fast already.
The other question I also have is just because the thing is, I'm into sci-fi things, so I love sci-fi stuff, and I just feel like with this whole pandemic thing going on a little bit, I know we're going to go back to normal, but I just feel that would this Bitcoin take off? And when I mean take off, being like, would this be the norm where people will be like, okay, you can buy a house, you can get a car, you can do groceries with Bitcoin more than cash?
Yeah, so I'm not sure when you came in, but you can buy a Tesla car right now with Bitcoin. You can shop at Whole Foods with Bitcoin. We got Visa coming out with a way to utilize your Bitcoin to buy things with it, and also Apple Pay. But again, this is just a safe haven for our hard work and time. But the space we're in right now, again, is that when Bitcoin crossed the 54K mark, that means that it is now $1 trillion asset. So companies like Apple, Amazon, Tesla, they can all now start to purchase. And because they have billions of dollars, they can grab a lot more than we can. So my goal is not to obtain some Bitcoin and spend it. It's about stacking as many Satoshis as you possibly can right now to protect your wealth for the next 10 years.
And I just want to say as a quick aside, if any of you guys have ever used the Fold app, you can get free Bitcoin on the Fold app, and you just spin a wheel, and you start with like 20,000 sats, but every day you get a free wheel spin. And like there are some people that have won a whole Bitcoin on the Fold app, so that's a really, really easy, no barrier way to get some Bitcoin exposure. And like you'll see those sats gain value over time, and it's no risk.
So the reason why I would caution people to perhaps sit down with a CPA like CJ, the smart guy, is because I'm not sure if that when you receive Bitcoin like this, like quote unquote free Bitcoin, if that's considered a taxable event, that may be considered an income gain. So you might just want to. There you go. Yeah. So you might just want to sit down with a CPA before you enter this space, because you might be causing a taxable event and you don't want to have to owe more to the IRS than what you even have in Bitcoin in the first place, just because you want to grab more Satoshis up front. Again, we're talking about an asset that appreciates by 200% annually. So we don't need to cut corners here. We just need to store our wealth for the long haul, 5, 10 years.
And I'll say one more thing to Gemini. When you talk about using it and spending it, one of my best friends, we're both into Bitcoin heavy. And even when I go to send him money, he's like, hey, you can send me Bitcoin. But my whole thing is, if I send you Bitcoin, I'm taking away from myself gaining money. I'm going to send you something that's going to go down over time, like fiat.
Yeah, and like if it does come to, like, I got people I love, I have people with reservations, like my aunts. So if I ever do send them Bitcoin, I write in the description gift. Or like I sent some to DK today. I sent him a couple Satoshis. I wrote gift. If you are sending a gift, it is not a taxable thing. So yeah, if you got someone you love that's just kind of weird about it, feel free to try it that way. Again, I'd advise sitting down with a CPA so that you have a better understanding of what could be happening. But it's a good way to onboard your family. Like, I sent my aunt like $5, and then she's seen it was $7 the next day, and all of a sudden she's got a call to figure out what's going on. So it's a good way to get people you love on. But again, after you have a certain amount of Satoshis in your cold wallet already.
Okay. All right. I really appreciate that. Thanks for all the questions and answers. Thanks.
Appreciate that, guys. And this is just part one. Until Valo gets his own hosting abilities, and hopefully nobody on Twitter is listening right now, we're going to allow him to use this space and to keep educating everybody on the Bitcoin basics. So we will put together a calendar and have that out to you guys. So for Twitter, if you're listening, hold off on giving Valo a space for a little bit. No, I'm just playing. But we definitely want to keep getting that knowledge from him and going from there. So for everybody you see on stage, my man DK, Hip Hop, Sweetest, Red, myself, and then we have somebody else in the room, but he is not here. We have established, kind of a group on how we're going to navigate and push our spaces out and keep it going from there. So we plan to keep you guys educated on a lot of various different topics. So definitely watch our profiles, follow us, as we'll be bringing you guys the things that you want to see and hear in these spaces. Punter, I see you went out there and told some people to get in this room, so hopefully they come as we get ready to wrap up. But with that, Dennis, any last words from you? Then Lawrence, and then Valo, I'll let you take us home, and then my man DK will take us with the tunes.
No, nothing for me. I just want people to be educated. And again, if anybody is really, really in depth and diving into that rabbit hole of understanding the chart, just feel free to reach out to me.
Cool. Lawrence, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. The only thing I'll say is one, thanks for allowing me to gate crash. I wasn't one of you guys presenters, but I saw an opportunity to share some things, and I'm glad you guys let me come in and play along. Last thing I'll say is just when you really talk about investing, it truly is a method to transfer wealth from the impatient to the patient. So always think long term, stay humble, stack sats.
Yeah, nice. And I will say that even though we don't really like across the street, and after spending a lot of lovely days on this beautiful app, and I don't like going to Clubhouse, and you can see my little refrigerator tweet from earlier, Miss Naja and the Black Bitcoin Billionaires does do a Monday through Friday crypto virgins at 12 p.m. Pacific time. I'm not sure what time that is on the East Coast, but Monday through Friday they do a crypto virgins where they can walk you through the basics, and they are extremely patient. They will answer all of your questions. These are what I consider my OGs, whether they know it or not, but they instilled a phenomenal foundation in me. And even when I get to host a space and start doing these on the regular, I'll be doing them at a different time. So make sure you go support and follow the club, Black Bitcoin Billionaires, on Clubhouse.
we got Sunday. We got our Sunday brunch luncheon again.
Oh, my
Monday.
bad, DK. And Daniel, I just wanted to say too, my bad, I'm so sorry. Anyone who's in the audience that is an Android user and wasn't able to see the links up at the top, as far as what I bookmarked to bring to this class, I did try to retweet all of them, and I'm sorry if I missed any, so I numbered them. So you can just go down to my timeline and get those references and follow everybody in my bio.
And Valo, we did record this space, and so if people did miss or if